A few weeks ago, we showed a couple episodes illustrating the hack job I put together to get the TS10 Rhino Flexwing Mower to work on our LX3310. In the first episode, I said it couldn't be done. In the second episode, I showed that it shouldn't be done. Well, we got a lot of feedback from those episodes. I really appreciate it, guys. One of the comments we got from Peter Zila said that he could bring his L4060 down and we could experiment with it.
Absolutely. So that's what I did. Now we'll see if it works or we have to break it.
Let's get started. Peter, you had the same problem that I have. The drawbar on these tractors too close to the PTO.
Yeah.
But what you've done is you've built something to help with that. Tell me about it.
Originally it was about 5.5 inches from the top of the drawbar to the center of the PTO shaft.
Okay.
And then I looked at the drawbar mount, for lack of a better word. It's attached with 2 bolts from the back and 6 bolts on the bottom. And I pulled it off. I looked at it, looked at 1/4 inch material for the most part. I had a sheet of 3/8 on the plasma cutter and I looked at it and drew it up. And if I drop it all down, give it an extra 3 inches. And that's kind of what I did. I imitated and beefed up the factory mount, and there was another set of holes that I exposed pulling the factory mount off, and cut the thing out of 3/8, and it looks like the drawbar fits in there just fine, and we'll put it to the test, I guess.
Okay, so you used the existing drawbar, but you built something to lower how
Correct.
it
I
connects
replaced the mount. Like the
Yeah.
factory mount was all gray, shorter, stubbier, lighter gauge, and now I have a taller, longer, heavier gauge mount with 2 additional holes that were in the casting of the transaxle already.
So something we'll all do DIY, you know, just get out your plasma cutter and, yeah, right. Some of us don't have fancy tools like that. You may have to help me out, Peter. So now we've got it extended, the requisite 14 inches. Actually, we're a little further
Yeah,
than
we're
that.
about 15 and a half.
Yeah, and the next hole in was about 13, and after what I've been through, I'm too skittish to do that. So there's a little concern. We're seeing a little bit of spring in the drawbar itself. This is about 1,000 pounds of tongue weight. Now it's about 1,200.
Yeah, you see the flex. You see the flex, yeah.
So we've got a little bit of flex there, but I you know, hopefully we don't have to buy a new drawbar for Peter before he goes home.
Well, if we only break the drawbar or the mount, we're okay. I just would hate to strip the casting.
Yeah, that would be an insurance claim.
Yeah.
Now this is my first real world experience with the Grand L4060, or any Grand L. Now, we had one test drive in a dealer's parking lot and I was pretty impressed. So let's see what it feels like in the real world.
Folks, if you haven't already checked it out, I'd appreciate it if you take a look at tractoruniverse.com. There's a lot of useful discussion out there. For example, the Summit hydraulic kit that we've shown several times on this channel. Several folks have posted their installation experiences on a variety of different tractors. It's all free. Nobody's making any money off of it at this point. Just a friendly and respectful place where we can share our tractor experiences. tractoruniverse.com. Check it out.
Trade you even, my LX3310 for this.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Oh, come on. I'll even throw in a cheeseburger.
Okay, and a Coke.
Okay.
There you go.
Totally different class machine. Totally different machine than the LX3310.
And for me, still not enough loader capacity.
Interesting. You know, we hear a lot of people talk about loader capacity on all tractors. That's not specific to this one. Little tractors just don't have nearly the loader capacity of a skid steer.
Yeah, but a guy like me buys this and thinks he buys like a telehandler, like a lull or something. And then he wonders why the thing can't lift 4,000 pounds, you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Well, it can. 1,000 pounds at a time.
yeah. Oh, almost 2,000 at a time. I mean, it's for what it is, it does pretty well. It's just when you're used to a 4,000 pound forklift, it's not
Yeah.
it's not a match.
Yeah. I found in some of the heaviest stuff that this was, the mower was a full load for this tractor. But overall, I think it handles it pretty well. I don't really see too much of a problem. I'm running in the turtle gear of medium.
Medium range turtle gear, yeah.
And I believe that's the way it works, right? The slowest would be low turtle, and then the next faster would be low rabbit, and then the next faster would be medium turtle. And
that's how it works,
okay.
yeah.
So I never tried that, and I never even got to full speed in the medium turtle.
It's pretty fast. I want to say it's about 6 miles an hour. Don't quote me on this, but
it's reading in kilometers per hour.
Yeah, so this is how the dealer shipped it at first, and then I had them do an oil change at 20 hours.
Yeah.
And then they switched it all to standard, and now I was used to the metric. I mean, this is what 26 years living in Europe will do to you too. So then I had to go back through the menu and figure out how to switch it back and switch it all back.
So you grew up in Germany?
I did. I have a family here, I have friends, I have a job, I have a life. Life is good. I wouldn't want to move back.
Well, that's interesting. Hey, I've mowed around the edge of this a little bit, and just this little section here. You want to give it a try?
I'm going to give it a try.
Don't tear anything up.
Okay. If you break something, only the tractor, right?
If something's broken now, then you broke it somehow.
Okay, yes.
This stuff hasn't been mowed all year, so it's quite stemmy. And the mower's having some trouble cutting those stems. As I've told you before, the blades are somewhat dull. From what I hear from the experts, they really suggest you not sharpening the blades. I realize a bunch of you guys were saying, oh, sharpen the blades, you lazy bum. Well, they suggest that your blades, when you sharpen them, even if you do your best, that to keep from heating them, that you weaken the blade. You weaken the steel in the blade. I didn't provide Peter any instruction, and if I had provided one tidbit of instruction, it would have been to have not turned very sharply. So you want to be a little bit careful with a mower like this to avoid real sharp turns. With this one, the lift links of the 3-point hitch don't raise quite high enough to get out of the way of the PTO shaft. I'm not trying to say that anything about this tractor. It probably would be that way on any machine of this size. They just happen to be right there in that area where the PTO shaft might get hit by the lift links. That's the heaviest right there, and it's pulling it down some.
All right, looks like the lower grass, it's about 6 kilometers, like 4 miles an hour. The really tall stuff, 3 kilometers, like 2 miles an hour.
Okay.
That tall stuff over there, that really like, you
it
could
pulled
see
it
the
down, yeah.
RPM dropping like 30, 40.
Yeah. Watch your coolant temperature too. It's got a beard. Let's lower the cutting height a little bit. I think maybe we can improve the cut quality by lowering the height. So. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so we lowered the cutting height there. Pulled harder, didn't it?
It pulled way harder, even recutting. And
Yeah.
going through the fresh material now, I'm at like 2 kilometers an hour, not 3 or 4
Yeah,
anymore.
now you are using the hand throttle, right?
Wide open, and then just use the pedal to feather the speed.
The speed, yeah, yeah. Do you like the combination?
I like the combination. I mean,
This mower and this tractor?
that's about the most mower you want to hang behind this tractor, in
Yep.
my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And these conditions are not perfect, right? I mean, you typically, if you're going to have a mower like this and you're going to keep a property, and you're going to keep it a little better than this.
Other people.
Maybe on
Oh,
your-
down here. Yeah, you got to lift it over that ledge. There you go.
And then all the stuff kind of fell out of it as I took it out.
Yeah, that doesn't look too terrible in there.
No, wasn't too much stuff got in there. Now we're traveling in low gear, turtle speed. It's pulling it down. So this is the lowest gear we've got. Pedals all the way down. Okay, now I'm going to go to rabbit. And this is how you can use a transmission like this, so that where you're not under stress, you can go faster. How much mowing do you want to do?
I'm good. If you want to mow the other side, if you have to, then mow it. If you want to keep it, keep it.
The tractor? Yeah, I'll keep the tractor.
Keep the tractor.
I think that's what I heard. Did you
That's
hear
a,
that,
that's a
Christy?
Kubota that you like. I guess unbelievable. You know, but now that I mowed this, I don't even want it anymore because now I know I need a cab tractor.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well,
It never ends.
see, for the stuff that I do though, I use it as an all-terrain forklift, maybe some stump grinding, maybe run a wood chipper, maybe a backhoe. The cab is not practical and not needed. I'm like the guy who buys a tractor who doesn't do any kind of tractor work, like tilling, plowing, mowing. Anything that people buy tractors for, I don't do.
Right.
I do everything else but tractor work with it.
Yep. I can understand why they call it the Grand L. I mean, this is, of all the Kubotas that I've been on so far, this is the nicest one. The transmission is smooth. On my LX3310, I've talked about it several times about how I press the foot pedal and then it jerks. Mm-hmm. You do not feel that on this tractor. It's smooth. The two-speed transmission is very nice, the two-speed shift on the go. The engine runs smooth. It's by far the nicest Kubota I've driven. Can we take a better look at that drawbar?
Absolutely.
Maybe we can just take this home. Maybe we can get it up on our lift and we can see what's going on and see what kind of work you've done on
Compare factory versus home built.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Peter, this is your improvement for the drawbar to make this work. So really the task that I gave you was come up with a drawbar that's at least 8 inches.
Center PTO shaft to top of the drawbar.
And how far is this
I
one?
believe we have 8.5. Without measuring it right now, I believe
Okay.
we have 8.5.
Okay, so I wanted people to see it before we took the drawbar out, but the drawbar is really in our way and it's a headbanger, so maybe we take it out now. And this is the factory drawbar.
This is the factory drawbar that came with the tractor and factory retaining pin.
Okay,
So the hardware to bolt this in is factory hardware, just the drawbar mount that it slides into, that's custom.
okay,
So here, when you look at the factory one, same drawbar height here, same mouth opening.
yep,
And you see the what I gained here, that 3.5 inches, is right here in the bolt height where it bolts up. So essentially, I made this plate here in this area from the top of the mount to the bottom of the transmission mount. I added 3.5 inches in this area.
So you basically added the 3.5 inches right in there.
Yes.
And other than that, you designed it very similarly.
Basically, almost a copy. I made these pieces a little bit longer to take more weight on that mower, to make that sturdier, but other than that, it's...
You want to take this thing down?
Yeah, let's take it down.
Okay. You know, it's interesting that they didn't go ahead and put those extra 2 holes in and use those extra 2 bolts.
They're in the transmission and they're threaded, M16 fine thread.
So they could have
Just
you know,
drill 2 holes and put them in, yes.
Yeah, even if they just skip these and put in these, it looks like would have been a little bit stronger.
I'm not sure, because if the weight is on the back end,
yes.
then the weight is on this side.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so we can clearly see the 3.5 inches or whatever you've added here, right? In this angle.
When you look at the design, here's a 2x2 plate, a short one. You got a 2x3 plate here on the top and the bottom to take the load of that 1,000 pounds on that mower. And then here, these ears, I'm not a big fan of for like 2 reasons. To me, there's too much going on, too many parts. There's a part here, a part here, a part there in between. And then the worst sin that was committed here is a single-sided weld. There's no weld on the inside here. And I don't know if there's enough clearance to put a weld, but either way, a single-sided weld, if you put this on the vise, hit this with the hammer a couple of times, or put a 12-inch adjustable wrench, you can break it towards the weld, it falls right off.
Okay.
So if there was a problem where a bolt would strip here, these wouldn't even really hold. It would just like come up and shear.
Okay.
So then this part here holding this all in, when you look on the inside, there's no weld down in here, no weld down in there, no weld along the flanges, and then there's no welds holding these plates in other than the button welds on the outside.
Okay.
And then the outside weld here is very skinny and inconsistent. Here, presumably to clear for the bolt. And then here, where the load is applied going down this way, this is all the weld that's holding it on. There's no weld on the inside holding it on.
Right.
So I would be a little bit worried, 1,000 pounds on this one. And then here, that leaves you an 1/8 inch of material next to the button weld. See, it's very skinny.
How is yours different?
I incorporated these ears here that have the single-sided weld into a full plate. I had this plate here stick out to interlock.
Okay.
Then I welded that one in, made this all one solid plate where it's welded here and there. So this way, yes, there's a single side weld here, but this is the long leg that holds it. So it's not really single-sided
Not going to
anymore.
break loose right there like
Correct.
the other one is, yeah.
Because here's your one side and here's your other side. So it's really not a single-sided weld because the tap is sticking through and welded. And then on the inside, it's almost fully welded into the corner. I mean, as far as I could reach. And when you look at these tabs, they're all fully welded on the inside. Of course, not where the drawbar sits. There's welded on the bottom, and then on the top side underneath here, when you flip it over, and the buttons on the side. So I believe that this plate in the front, tying everything together, setting the distance, that plate is slotted to accept these all the way through. So it kind of goes in one location and one position only when you weld it, and it all interlocks even before welding.
Okay, perfect. Why do you think they chose this shorter height that left just the 5.5 instead of the full 8 inches?
I would think ground clearance as you go off-roading in the field.
Yeah, I think so too. And when I looked at this, when I had this one was mounted and I had my head under there, this was exactly the same height right here as the rest of the underside of the tractor. So when we put yours on, it now protrudes below and it becomes the lowest point on the tractor. It's pretty clear that that's why they did this higher.
There's still 9, almost 10 inches under it though if you're on concrete, on level ground. I mean...
Yeah, and it's right in the center of the tractor. A lot of times on a tractor this size, you would straddle 2 rows of something. One thing, and I noticed you did this a little bit, you put a taper here, and that would help us if we did hit something to be able to kind of hop over it. One thing
and that wasn't even my intention.
The one thing that I might suggest for a further one of these is to taper that just a little bit more.
Yeah,
right? At least on the bottom.
Come down steeper here and make a more shallow taper there.
So it becomes a little bit...
And put a little radius. I mean, there is a 1/4 inch radius, but maybe put a 3/4 inch radius on the corner to
allow it to hop over something if it happened to hit a log or something.
Yep.
That's potentially one modification, but I'm pretty impressed with this. Hey, do you have a video showing this being put together on your channel?
In 2 days, I will.
Tell us a little bit about your channel. You've got a YouTube channel.
I do a lot of welding and fabrication. I show how this is cut out on a CNC plasma cutter. I basically looked at this, drew it up in CAD, cut it out. I have footage of it being cut out. Then I welded this all up with dual shield flux core, gas shielded flux core. It's almost like 70-18 on a roll.
Okay.
What this material does compared to the regular solid MIG wire, it has more give, more elongation to it. When you hit something with this and the part bends, the weld can bend with it rather than just tearing out, tearing off.
Okay. So on your YouTube, what is your YouTube channel?
Zila, Z-I-L-A.
Okay. One project I saw you built from start to finish, you fabricated this tool that allowed a guy to use a skid steer, or he could use a tractor, to roll up his...
Insect netting for a vineyard.
Okay.
And this used to be like, I don't know how many acres the guy has, but it used to be like a 6 or 8 day operation with 4 people. And now it's half a day operation with 2 people. One guy straightening out the netting and one guy sitting in the skid steer holding the button, and the hydraulic is a high torque, low speed motor running off a third function off a skid steer auxiliary.
Yeah, and it's pretty nifty. It takes a piece of PVC pipe for, you'd use a different one for each
Yes, and it
roll.
stays with the netting.
So check out Zila on YouTube. If we have viewers that have a Grand L, this would be probably a 40, probably the 35 through the 60. I don't know if it would fit the big ones or not, but definitely the 35 and the 40 and the 47 this would fit, right?
Yes.
How would they get one?
Email me, peter@zila.net.
Okay.
PETER@ZILA.net.
Okay.
And then if you want to weld it yourself, you can have a weld it yourself kit. I can put it in a flat rate box and you weld it yourself. If you need a complete assembled one, we can do that too.
Folks, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This was not a sponsored video. Peter just came down and when he first saw us trying to use that LX3310, he said, I'm going to make something for my tractor and we'll get that to work. I bet I could have got him to make something for the LX3310, but
then you still have stubby PTO shaft.
I still have the stubby PTO shaft, and so I really don't have a good solution. I think we're just out of luck with that tractor. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Peter, thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you for having me.
This has been great. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.